Are you trying to establish your brand as a thought leader? Start a podcast, invite industry experts to be guests on your show, and watch your brand become the prime resource for decision makers in your industry. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to B2B Growth, a daily podcast for B2B leaders. We've interviewed names you've probably heard before, like Gary Vaynerchuk and Simon Sinek, but you've probably never heard from the majority of our guests. That's because the bulk of our interviews aren't with professional speakers and authors. Most of our guests are in the trenches leading sales and marketing teams. They're implementing strategy. They're experimenting with tactics. They're building the fastest growing B2B companies in the world. My name is James Carberry. I'm the founder of Sweetfish Media, a podcast agency for B2B brands, and I'm also one of the co-hosts of this show. When we're not interviewing sales and marketing leaders, you'll hear stories from behind the scenes of our own business. We'll share the ups and downs of our journey as we attempt to take over the world. Just kidding. Well, maybe. Let's get into the show. Welcome back to another solo episode of B2B Growth. My name is James Carberry. I'm the founder of Sweetfish Media and one of the co-hosts of this show, and I'm really excited to dive into a topic today around decision making. So this topic stemmed from a book that I just read a couple days ago called Fundamentally Different by David J. Friedman. I would highly recommend the book. David ran a big insurance company for several years and developed 30 fundamentals for essentially how he ran his company. It's a very value-based organization, and they had 30, I don't want to say core values, but they had 30 fundamentals that helped him guide the path that he wanted the organization to go down. And the 29th fundamental is the fundamental that I'm going to be talking about in this episode. The name of the fundamental is the quality of your answers is directly related to the quality of your questions. Now, when David talked about the context for this particular fundamental, he said that he had a list of 5 questions that he would keep on his desk facing whoever was sitting at the other side of his desk. And he said the reason he had these 5 questions is because people would often come to his office and they would want to pick his brain or ask questions about a particular decision that they were trying to make. And when he would help that person think through, how they would make decisions, he realized that there were 5 questions that he could ask that would elicit them to think the way he would want them to think. And those 5 questions are this. I'll run through them real quickly. The first question is, what's the situation? This ultimately gives you context to what's going on. The second question is, what have you done so far? So he talks a lot about this question in the book. Once you know the situation, you need to know what actions they've already taken. The third question he would ask is, what do you think you should do? And so this gets them, this really trains whoever it is you're leading or whoever's coming to you for advice or for help, getting them to depend on themselves instead of just relying on you for the answer to be able to solve their problem for them, getting them thinking critically about how they can solve their own problem. The fourth question he asks is, what are you asking of me? So making sure you're real clear on what they're expecting to get from their time that they're spending with you, or if they're wanting, a specific piece of advice, or if they're wanting you to actually go and do something to help enable them to take the action they need to take. So make sure you ask that fourth question. And then the fifth question is, what information is missing that if you knew this, the best course of action would become self-evident? David talks a lot about this particular question in the book, and I think it's really insightful to ask someone this because it forces them to think a little bit differently than they otherwise would have. So that was a component of this 29th fundamental. The quality of your answers is directly related to the quality of your questions. But the next part of this particular chapter that I really liked was, he says, a good decision is more about process than result. a good decision is more about process than result. He said, once, these 5 questions are helpful when you're talking someone through kind of a decision that they need to make. But when you need to make a decision, what is your process for how you make that decision? And he walks through a 5-step process that I thought was really helpful for me, and I hope it's really helpful for you as well. The first step to make a good decision is to define the goal clearly. He said so often we don't make good decisions because we don't exactly know what our end goal is. So let's get real clear around what that goal is. The second thing we need to do is we need to gather all the relevant data. This could take quite a bit of time. It could not take very much time at all, depending on what the problem is that you're trying to tackle, the decision that you're trying to make. Make sure you gather all the relevant data. The third step of his process is to determine the set of options. Now, obviously, there's going to be more than one way to solve the problem that you're trying to tackle, but determine all of those different options, because the next step 4 in this process, is to identify the advantages and disadvantages of each option. And once you've, I kind of see this as kind of a sheet of paper. One side, the pros, the other side, the cons. You've seen it in countless like romantic comedies where people are writing down reasons why they should stay with somebody or why they shouldn't, and it always ends up backfiring. I think there was an episode of Friends about it. That's kind of what comes to mind for me as you're identifying the advantages and disadvantages of each option that you're thinking through. And then the last step of this process is to select the option that has the highest likelihood of achieving the desired outcome. So 1, define the goal clearly. 2, gather the relevant data. 3, determine the set of options. 4, identify the advantages and disadvantages of each option. And 5, select the option that has the highest likelihood of achieving the desired outcome. That is David J. Friedman's 5-step process for making good decisions. I love that he said that a good decision is more about process than result, because when you have a good process for making decisions, you can make good decisions repeatably. You're not going to nail it every single time. You're not going to make the right call every single time. But if you've got a solid process, your likelihood for making good decisions over the long haul of your career is going to be much higher than if you just have a sporadic approach to it. So this was extremely helpful for me. If you're listening to this, you're likely leading some sort of a team. Hopefully this is good for you as you're leading your team, as you're leading yourself. And I'm really, really grateful for you tuning in, checking out this episode. If you have not already left a review of B2B Growth in Apple Podcasts, it helps us enormously. The more reviews we have, the more credibility we have inside of iTunes, the more people are going to find out about the show. So go leave us a review. Let us know what you think of the podcast. We would really, really appreciate it. And then, as always, make sure to connect with myself on LinkedIn, James Carbary, Carbary. Would love to connect with you on LinkedIn. One of my co-hosts, Logan Lyles, would also love to connect with you on LinkedIn. Lyles is how you spell his last name. We're really, really, really looking forward to connect with you. Thank you so much for listening.
Digital marketing agencies have a tough job. You have to stay on top of the latest marketing strategies for your clients and your agency. What if there was a way you could address both at the same time? Imagine your agency putting out content with greater quality and quantity. Envision bringing your clients a turnkey solution for one of B2B marketing's fastest growing media strategies, podcasting. You know, all those clients asking for your help with their account-based marketing efforts? Picture being the first to bring them the idea of content-based networking, showing them the proven strategy for breaking into their most coveted accounts. Here's the concept. Sweetfish Media is looking to work with a limited number of innovative agencies interested in a new partnership model. We produce a podcast for your agency. You introduce the power of podcasting and Sweetfish services to your clients. Everybody wins. Learn more at sweetfishpartners.com.